I totally know what it feels like to get into a decluttering mode, get into a project, and then really question yourself on what you should keep and what you should get rid of. So today I want to help you. I'm going to give you 15 things that your kitchen doesn't need. Now, this is definitely up for debate, so leave me a comment letting me know if you disagree with any of these, but honestly, I think for the most part, these are gonna be really, really safe things to get rid of. All right, 15 things your kitchen doesn't need. Let's do it. I obviously recommend getting rid of any expired spices, but in addition to that, any spices that you don't use. I know there have been times, especially in the past, when I've tried a new recipe and bought a specific spice for the recipe, but then I haven't used it again. So these are great things to see if your neighbors want. So as you're going through your spices to see what's expired, just also see what you don't use, maybe what is just adding clutter to your kitchen. So expired spices and unused spices for dishes that you really don't make. I'm also gonna recommend getting rid of any appliance that you don't use on a regular basis. This is a good time to go through and see if you have any extra crock pots. I did when I went through my kitchen. Taking a run to the Goodwill to donate all of this. This is all good stuff that I feel like somebody could use. There's a crock pot in here. I had 3 crock pots. I had 3 of these. I had 4 pie dishes. George Foreman's pancake griddles are really handy, so I wouldn't get rid of those because you can do grilled cheese, so don't get rid of that. But if you don't make waffles, maybe get rid of your waffle iron. And then I know this can be tricky because you're like, but what if I want to use it? What if I'm craving a waffle? What do I do? My rule of thumb is use it or lose it. If you think you're gonna want a waffle, go ahead and see if you can make waffles within the next week or 2 and see if you like them. See if it's something that you want to incorporate into your regular meal planning routine. But in general, I just say get rid of appliances. These are so bulky. They can take up a huge amount of space in your kitchen and they're really easy to borrow. So if you've got neighbors, you'll probably be able to borrow it back. Or another fun idea is if you've got something that you really think you're gonna wanna use in the future, give it to a neighbor and then, or a friend, and then borrow it back from them, a family member. So you know this item isn't actually going too far, but you kind of have the intention of being able to use it from time to time, but really getting it out of your kitchen just to free up space, mental clutter, all of that. Just to give you an idea, in our kitchen we have 1 blender, 1 crock pot, 1 toaster, a waffle iron, a George Foreman grill. I used to have a pancake griddle, but it broke, so I do want to replace that soon. And just a little hot kettle in case we want to make tea. That's it. Those are the appliances that we own. We don't own any more than that. I used to have a bread maker, but I got rid of that too because I found another recipe that I love. So that's another thing, is you can try and come up with recipes that allow you to get rid of your appliances. Like, I did not want to store that huge bread maker. I just didn't want to. So I found a bread recipe that I don't need to store any appliance for. So that's another tip. I recently went through my recipes and got rid of the ones that I'm not using. This was kind of tedious, I'm not gonna lie. I had a lot of recipes in here, especially ones from college. And you might think, oh, but they're not taking up much space. They're contained in the little recipe box. But it does make it harder to find the recipes that you actually do want to make. So I recommend going through your recipes. A lot of people store their recipes in a binder. That is not how I do it. I love having a cute little recipe box here in my cupboard. So go through your recipes, pull the ones forward that you make the most or the ones that you want to make, but recipes you're not using really have no purpose. Also, for the longest time, I kept a super warped cookie sheet. It literally bent in the middle and I just kept it, and I don't really know why. I think I just didn't want to spend the money, but come to find out, cookie sheets aren't that pricey. You can get them really, really affordably, and it makes cooking pizzas. If you cook pizzas on your cookie sheets like I do, things cook more evenly. So anything warped and then anything rusted. I actually need to replace this one, this wire cooling rack has a whole bunch of rust on the back. So I need to get a new one. And what I've learned with things like this is you really just need to hand wash them and dry them right away. So that kind of prevents rusting. But go through and see if there's anything rusted. If anything's kind of pulled up, like the metals on the bottom of the pans, and just replace them. It's pretty inexpensive and it's just safer and better to cook that way. I am doing the dishes right now, so I'm missing one, but I only keep one set of cooking utensils in the main part of the house. I do have an extra set down in the basement, and that is really, really handy if we're hosting something. So if we're cooking a bunch for Thanksgiving or Christmas, or have a birthday party, I'm hosting my family and we've got to cook a really, really big meal for everybody. We have a lot of people in the kitchen, a lot of dishes we're making. It's helpful to have more than one set. But I found just in the main part of my kitchen, I really just need one set of cooking utensils. So I've just found that it's really easy to organize if you only have one set of measuring cups and measuring spoons. But I definitely recommend keeping an extra set in case you do ever host or you are cooking a lot like for Thanksgiving. And it would be hard to borrow from your neighbor because they're probably making Thanksgiving dinner as well. So stained dish rags or dish rags with holes in them is something your kitchen does not need. But I found that just having a nice fresh set of dish towels to set out is really, really nice. So if you've got holes in yours, just go ahead and replace them. You can also cut them up and use them for dusting if you don't want to recycle them or get rid of them just yet. There are so many things you can do with old pieces of fabric or cloth. I actually have this set right here these are my hot pads, and they're so stained. I'm not really sure how I can upcycle these for use in my house. If you guys have an idea, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go ahead and recycle the material. But yeah, if you have anything stained or with holes, it's just nice when you can set out a pair that just look nice and fresh. Any multiples, for the most part, you can get rid of. I have an exception that I'm gonna talk about in just a second, but things like can openers, pizza cutters, salad tongs, pastry cutters, you really just need one. Again, if you feel like, oh gosh, if we're having guests over and we've got a couple salads, it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas, go ahead and put this in your kitchen reserve. So my kitchen reserve is actually in my basement. I know that when we have a big event going on, I can pull that bucket and get all the things I need. So you might wanna have like an extra pair of salad tongs you keep in there, but otherwise, seriously, you really just need one set for daily use. I like to keep just my absolute favorite cleaners in my kitchen. I have this Lysol with hydrogen peroxide. This is so good. I love this one. It does not smell bad, so that's one reason I really like it. Plus, it's just a really intense concentrate. If you're really looking to disinfect, maybe you've been cooking with meat, raw meat, something like that, it's really, really nice to have. And then I love to have surface sprays that smell really, really fresh for my kitchen. But basically anything other than that, don't keep it. Don't keep it around if it's something that you don't like, if it's something that doesn't smell good. I don't really think there's a point. So let me know what your favorite cleaners are to keep in your kitchen specifically. And of course, I have baking soda. I cook with that and I clean with that, so I can't live without it. I've got tons of that in my kitchen, but otherwise I just have a couple of my favorites, but let me know what you guys really like. Any chipped glassware is not safe to have in your kitchen. I always get really sad when I notice I've got a chip or a break in one of mine, especially if it's a platter or servingware, but seriously, it's just not safe. It's not worth keeping around. I have a crack in this glass right here that I do need to get rid of. So go through your kitchen. If you've got anything with cracks or breaks or chips, go ahead and get rid of it. Glass especially, it's so sharp. So I hate it when this happens, but you've got to just go ahead and recycle it. I only have one vase. I really don't see the use for more. If I have a bouquet of flowers, I mean, I really only have one at a time is what I'm trying to say. I don't need multiple vases in multiple sizes. I usually get long stem flowers, so I don't need a short one. But if you like shorter stem flowers, don't keep your long stem vase. You know what I mean? So just kind of think about what you get. But I really don't think you need more than one vase. I love having a clear one. This is not everybody's style though, because you can see the stems through the bottom. But what I will do if I don't want to see the stems, let me show you what I have. If I don't want to see the stems on the flowers, I will just use my pitcher, my juice pitcher, and this is actually really cute. I love this trick because it saves space and it's using one item for multiple functions, which I love to do, especially when I'm thinking about minimizing or trying to declutter a lot of items. So let me know if I'm the only one who does this. Do you do this too? But I really like it. I think it looks pretty and customized, and I just think it's fun. I used to have a whole bunch of different mixing bowls, and when it comes down to it, I realized I only ever use two. For baking, you need your dry ingredients and your wet ingredients. Otherwise, you really don't need extra sets of mixing bowls. Plus, you can just easily wash as you go. So I recommend only having two mixing bowls. Anything more than that is too much, potentially. I have one plastic mixing bowl that I like to use for my dry ingredients, and then I have a glass bowl that can go in the microwave if I need to soften butter. So I just have one glass and one plastic, and that's all I've ever needed in here. Similarly with serving ware, I just like to have two of a kind. So I have two different ceramic bowls that I can serve salad in, and then I have two different pans that I could do like casserole and cake or something. But beyond two, I just don't have them. I had seasonal serving platters for so long. Like I'd have different Christmas ones and Easter ones, things with different patterns and colors. I got rid of all of them just because I only used them once a year. For me, it works just to have a really, really classic set of two. Cutting boards can be so tricky, and I did not know this, but if you have really deep grooves or cuts in your cutting board, they can harbor bacteria. So it's a really good idea to only have one or two fresh cutting boards in your kitchen. So your kitchen does not need any bacteria being harbored in it. So go ahead and check it out. I've got this cutting board, but it's got some definite cuts in it, but I don't have any deep cuts or deep grooves that I'm worried about. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one, but keep an eye on it. So I like having this one. I also love having wooden cutting boards. I've had those in the past. I don't think it really matters. I used to have a larger one and a smaller one. Now I just have a larger one because I can cut anything on it and I only have to keep one. But just keep an eye on it for large cuts or grooves, because again, it can harbor bacteria and you don't need that. I used to have so many different kids' plates, cups, utensils, you name it, in my kitchen. And I realized that I only need a few. I have narrowed it down so much, and I just do two per child. I actually only have one toddler at the moment, so I just have two bowls and only one plate actually. And my older kids just use the glass plates from our cupboard, and it has worked out great. You can go through your kitchen right now and get rid of expired food. One thing I like to do to help prevent mold is to just freeze things. So I will go ahead and freeze half a loaf of bread, or I will freeze leftover soup. I will just freeze things and try and cut down on the mold and things going bad, expiring. The thing that I cannot figure out though is cheese. How do you freeze cheese? I've heard you can do it. I've heard it's easy. I've tried it so many times. So if you know the trick for freezing cheese so that it doesn't mold, let me know. Please subscribe for more videos on simplifying, organizing, and decluttering your home. Thank you so much for being here today, and I will see you soon. Bye.